Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Jesse, and this is the Auditorium. I react to video game music as a musician myself. Today is a platinum request on Patreon by DJ Singletone. This is a new game on the series and an interesting one, Crash Twinsanity. The song is called Rooftop Rampage, composed by Spiral Mouth. See, before we get into this, I am very well aware of Crash Bandicoot because I had a PS1. So I'm very familiar with 1, 2, and 3, which had a very iconic sound by Josh Mansell. I can't even describe many things that sound like Crash Bandicoot's music like that, with the kalimbas and all these like tropical type sounding stuff. But I didn't play anything past 3. Actually, no. I played CTR and Crash Bash. Shout out Crash Bash players. But after that, nothing. None of the PS2 era. Nothing. I haven't played Crash since Crash Bash. So in my head, I have an idea what Crash music sounds like, but this could be completely different. Either way, I'm excited. It's not too much of a long one, but this sounds like the name of the place. Anyways, let's get going. Rooftop Rampage. Let's go. Wow. Ooh. Whoa. Bomb bomb. Boom, boom. I'm confused. Well, it's more along the lines of what I thought was going to happen, or I said to myself, this is not going to sound like any of the Crash sound that I'm accustomed to. I had a feeling that it was going to sound drastically different. One, different composer. Two, I don't know. I felt that once, was it Naughty Dog? Yeah, I think once Naughty Dog got out of the picture, I felt that Crash started to kind of, explore a lot. He started to look different. The game started to look different. But one thing they always did well is the music very much matched the scenery quite a bit. If it was a Renaissance type of era, it sounded like it. If it was underwater, it sounded like it. If it was in the future, it sounded like it. It's got, it has all these very lively elements to their sound. Some of my favorite music from those games were these, the ones where you like ride a carpet and it's like all, Aladdin looking. I love those. And again, the music really like makes that whole thing complete. This one had a couple, I'm not gonna like compare them as far as which one's better or anything. This is obviously its own little thing. I don't know Twinsanity exactly. I think that's a PS2 title. It could be a PS3 title. I just know it's one of the later ones. This song reminded me a lot of the composer from Plock. And there's another game he's done on this channel. His name is The Fallen Brothers. It sounded like that. Like it had that kind of energy. And speaking of energy, this had a lot of energy. Which goes to the first point I was going to make of, since I'm so aware of those first 3 games and their sceneries, I was trying to put this into a scenery and I could not come up with one. It was a little broad. Clearly it's called Rooftop Rampage, which is, I don't know, it's kind of vague, but I couldn't tell if it was like modern day, older, if it was in the desert, if it was, you know what I mean? So I actually couldn't tell because this one was using more digital instruments. There was nothing wrong with this one. Let me just get that out of the way. When I think of Crash music, I think of like real instruments, and it has like that kind of livelier sound. This sounded more on the, you know, digital produced side. So, and then we have those kind of doom, those weird vocals that were just here and there. But to me, it captured the essence of Crash, which is kind of this cartoony, like over the top, you know, just cool character. But to me, I just really couldn't put a scenery. Sometimes I'll guess if it gives me something, but this one was weird because I was conflicted. Whereas every other time I've guessed before, I had no context. This one, I've had 5 games of context, and I was still trying to guess where it would go, and I just couldn't do it. But which is again not a bad thing. But I was just like, man, what is this? You know, it was just kind of this. It was a little bit of a confusing thing. It was like very energetic, but yet kind of metal, but also had like some sort of kind of rap influence too. But it wasn't like new metal, or it wasn't like rock rap. It was just kind of like a mesh of things. I couldn't even tell if it was even a boss or a stage. I'm guessing it's a stage. I just keep looking at this image and it looks so... It kind of looks like I don't know when it takes place. I don't know if it's canon. I don't even know if... Well, I guess there is a story in Crash, but clearly this is looking way more geared towards kids. This looks like a cartoon, like a Saturday morning cartoon. Like Haku Aku looks, you know, significantly younger. I don't know who the other 2 characters are. And it just looks way more... Or it could just be fan art too. I don't know. Either way, the whole time I just kept thinking, I'm like, well, this doesn't sound like what I know Crash as. But then I thought to myself, I'm like, there's a whole other generation past those first 3 games that grew up with Crash, and that's crazy to think about. You know, there's kids that grew up with the PS2 era, and they know that Crash, not the prior stuff. So I'm very curious as to what let's just call it Crash Generation 2, whatever it may be. Let's just say PS2 onwards. I'm very curious what that sounds like, if they've had different composers, if I'm willing to bet not all songs are like this kind of like metal thing. I think this is just a very specific song. And the only reason I'm saying that is because of the history. Like, they don't really have a universal sound across the stages. They have, like I said, is very fitting to the scenery. So I'm guessing, based off of that, everything I heard and seen, that this is kind of like a fast-paced level, which is kind of vague when it comes to Crash. But that's just the overwhelming feeling I got, is like this is quick and moving constantly. Yeah, that was it. That's all I got. But you know, this was a long time coming, because I never had any intention of playing any of the Generation 2 Crash. At that point, I was already kind of over playing games, right? After the PS1, I did have a PS2, but I started playing other games, and that's right around the time I stopped playing games in general. So, and even to this day, I've never been like, I want to go relive those old... I don't know what it was, you know? Something about like the original, Naughty Dog, they made them, you know, that's their baby. And to me, normally when a character or an IP goes to someone else totally new, it's like the magic is gone, and it starts to feel more of like a a cash grab or something like that. And again, no offense to those games, they're probably really polished and really fun and really good. But it didn't give me the same like, oh, it's a new Crash game, I'm gonna go buy it type of thing. It was more like, new Crash. You know, I felt like they were coming out like constantly left and right. So that's just my opinion. And I'm sure they're great games though. But as far as Crash Twinsanity, my first experience with it, and my first experience with Gen 2, let me know what that's actually called. What do you guys refer to it as in the Crash community? I just call it that because I just say PS2 onwards. Rooftop Rampage, really cool. And this is Spiral Mouth, which apparently they won an award for this song. That makes me very curious. What award? You know, and that's quite an accolade. I need to know more about that, but that's where you guys come in. I don't want to look it up. It's more fun when you guys tell me what it is. Anyways, I'm sure the Crash floodgate might open, and I don't have a lot of requests for Crash, so please, if you're part of this community, let me know what songs you would like to see. What are some iconic songs? I don't even know if I know a lot of songs, but I don't even know they had names. So I just thought they were all stage names. So let me know what I've been missing out on. I have about 20 years that I'm behind. Anyways, thank you DJ Singletone for the requests. If you want to do the same thing as DJ Singletone, you can request on Patreon or PayPal. Either are totally fine. If you do not mind waiting, there is a wait list. It's quite large, and I'm only one person, but I'm trying. If you want to skip that line though, there is the platinum tier, which DJ Singletone here was a part of. And a big thank you to my current supporters of that: Justin, Kevin, Patrick, Your Average Metalhead, Shadow Maxim, Vanadel, and Turn Arclight. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone that you see on my Patreon list. Thanks to you for watching, and nice to meet you, Crash community. It's been a while since I've played your games, but welcome. Until next time, dudes and dudettes, my name is Jesse. Take it easy.